Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Professor Sharaf, and I have the honor and pleasure of introducing Mr. who is the Managing Director of Green 3 Systems Limited. The seminar is about green technology and water treatment, and it's one of our seminars which we usually schedule every 2 weeks, and we have only very limited attendance because people are holidays. But it's very important, as somebody mentioned, that the 21st century will be challenged by 3 challenges. The first one is environment, the second one is energy, and the third one is water. As a matter of fact, we expect about 3 or 4 wars in the Middle East and Africa because of water and water resources. So the topic is very important. The company is standing to gain a lot of money because everybody now is looking for water as a commodity, which is important for life. So I will start by introducing the speaker first, then talk about the topic. Alan is the Managing Director and Founder of Green 3 Systems Limited, and is also a Director of TMS Trinidad Limited, a landscape architecture firm of which he is a partner. His experience as a landscape architect and his keen interest in sustainability led to the idea of opening Green 3 Systems, as he recognized the urgent need for the implementation of energy efficient and water efficient systems throughout the region. Alan holds a diploma in landscape technology from Humber College of Applied Arts and Technology in 2002 in Toronto. Are you a Canadian?
Nope.
No, okay. I was about to welcome him because I'm a Canadian too, but now I will delay the welcoming. Too late, right. He also holds a Bachelor of Arts honors in landscape architecture from Leeds Metropolitan University in 2005 in UK, and is a member of the American Society of Landscape Architecture. Green 3 Systems is Trinidad and Tobago leader in sustainable building systems and the new technology to capture water and use of renewable energy, especially for buildings. So it goes under the technology, building technology. We have the word smart building now, which covers a lot of areas. Part of the area is the reuse of water, gray water and black water. Currently, the company supplies BRAC gray water recycling systems, BRAC rainwater harvesting systems, BRAC black water treatment systems, and Enerworks solar thermal water heating systems, and aims to provide efficient gray water recovery systems for wastewater recycling, efficient rainwater harvesting systems for collection of rainwater, and high-efficiency solar thermal hot water heating systems. These renewable and efficient sustainable systems provide the opportunity to reduce negative environmental impact while emphasizing savings on monthly utility bills. Green 3 Systems is committed to supplying the most advanced and sustainable technologies in an effort to help all people reduce, reuse, and recycle, which is what we call the 3 R's. There is another 3 R's which now are emerging, which is called renew, restore, and regenerate. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Alan C. Darmond.
Thank you, Professor, and thank you, UTT, for having us here this afternoon. I'd like to warmly welcome all of you and thank you for coming. Sustainability is a new buzzword, and I'm not going to get into it too much because I'm pretty sure we all have an idea of what it means. We at Green 3 Systems think that it's not so much important to change the way we live in terms of we must continue driving cars, we must continue flying in airplanes, but we need to do our part as the individual human being and let the car manufacturers do their part to make cars more efficient and the aircraft manufacturers do the same. So we hope that our our technologies that we're going to present to you today will convince you that you too can play your part as we move on further in life. We chose these technologies and these manufacturers because we regard them as the best. We are here not so much to present their systems, but present their technologies and the ideas behind their technologies, in the hopes that you will then be convinced that their technologies are the best. So as Professor rightly said, the company name is Green 3 Systems Limited, and I'm the managing director. At the moment, we're involved with the sale of grey water recycling systems, black water treatment systems, rainwater harvesting systems, and solar hot water heating systems. We represent two companies, both of them out of Canada. EnyaWorks is the manufacturer of the solar hot water systems, and BRAC Systems is the manufacturer of our grey water, black water, and rainwater systems. They're both online. You can type them into Google and have a look. Our website, which you'll find on your brochures, is also pretty extensive and has information on all of our systems, so please feel free to have a look at it. When we came across the idea of starting this company, of course, as you can imagine, there are many suppliers and manufacturers of this type of technology worldwide. We looked at North America, we looked at Europe, we looked next door here in the Caribbean, and there are a couple of reasons why we chose BRAC and we chose EnyaWorks. So we'll talk a bit about BRAC, who they are, what they do, and why we chose them, and then we'll get into the EnyaWorks systems. BRAC Systems Inc. is a Canadian company, and they have developed, engineered, and manufactured their systems in Canada. As I mentioned, they're the manufacturers of the water systems. Why we chose BRAC? Well, from a technology point of view, we saw them as cutting edge. From an application point of view, we saw it as extremely simple to apply and install to basically any building, anywhere. And maintenance-wise, we saw it as the simplest. The grey water systems literally requires maybe half an hour of your time once every 4 to 6 weeks, whereas we had looked at other technologies out of Europe, which one were pricier, and two required a septic truck coming once a month, maybe once every 6 months, to pump out solids. As well as BRAC was not just within Canada. They have installations in over 30 countries worldwide: Australia, Bermuda. There's a lovely list of them here: Israel, Cyprus, Spain, South Africa, United Kingdom. And they're well rooted in not just the developing world, but also the developed world. So again, we think that says a lot about how far along their technology is. Oh. So when we think of grey water recycling, many people don't know what grey water recycling is. Well, it's basically collecting all of the fairly clean wastewater from a building, from showers, baths, sinks, washing machines, and basically any water that does not contain human, food, or biological matter. And this water is called grey water. It can then be filtered, recycled, reused on site for non-potable use, such as flushing toilets and/or landscape irrigation. So let's just think quickly of why should we recycle wastewater? We've all grown up, no matter where in the world we're from, where you turn on a pipe, you wash your hands, water goes down the sink, and then it's nasty, dirty drain water, and nobody ever wants to think about it again. Well, all over the world, we're seeing more and more droughts. Last year, we had a pretty rough dry season. This year, we've been fortunate to have no dry season, but we can all agree that more and more across the world, there are droughts happening. Here at home, as well as elsewhere in the world, we're experiencing water shortages, which have resulted in water rationing. I'm pretty confident to bet that nobody in this room has a 24-hour supply of water, and that each one of us at home has a tank. And we hope that the tank does not run out before we get water again. So that, in a sense, is a very early indicator that we in Trinidad have a shortage of water. There is going to be an increasing cost and possibly decreasing availability of fresh water. We have been meeting with WASA because we want to get their approval. The last thing we want is to have a system installed and then WASA come to hook up to this new building and say, "What's that?" No. So we've been in contact with them, and they basically have given us their blessing and have confirmed that we are going to see a rise in the cost of water. Now, this rise in the cost of water does not necessarily mean that we're going to go from having water 3 times a week to every day. In fact, it may mean that we actually get less water. So in one hand, you're paying more, and on the other hand, you're getting less. Associated with that is also the increased cost of removing and treating wastewater. If you are connected to WASA's sewer line, sewer system, you do pay a sewage charge, and that can be up to 50% of your water bill. So if your water bill goes up, even though your sewage output is the same, it's calculated as a percentage of your water rate. So therefore, that goes up as well. Of course, there are huge environmental impacts of wastewater and how we deal with it. Usually it ends up contaminating some ecologically fragile area. And these are all things that we need to think about as well, not just do we recycle the water? If we don't recycle the water, where does it go? What are the effects of the water downstream? Something also not thought about often is the CO2 emissions that are attached to water. Every time you turn on a pipe, a pump is turned on somewhere, whether it's your own house pump, whether it's WASA's booster station down the road. Somewhere energy has been used to filter and pump this water, and that of course will have its own CO2 emissions. Rising energy prices, well, we're fortunate here in Trinidad that our energy is subsidized, so it's not something for us to worry about too much at the moment, but who knows what the future brings. Some of the solutions to solving these problems obviously are conservation and education. We, one off, need to conserve water. We need to start educating not just the public, but our kids and the school kids from the time they can walk and talk, that they know that when they go to the bath that they're bathing in a very special commodity. Obviously maintenance, making sure that pumps are fixed, making sure that leaky pipes are fixed. Every drop does count. Water recycling will go a long way, and we'll get into that a bit further on. And obviously rainwater harvesting helps us capture that extra water that is available to us due to Mother Nature. Just some fun facts that we were looking at when coming up with this presentation. If we take our population here in Trinidad as 1.3 million people, we've estimated that as a country, on a daily basis, we flush 13,650,000 US gallons of water every day. That 13 million US gallons of water will be sufficient to irrigate 1,307 acres of land. From 1,307 acres of land, it's possible to produce 8 tons of tomatoes per crop. Now, I'm not sure the time frame of a crop of tomatoes, but I'm pretty sure you get more than 1 crop a year. And that 8 tons of tomatoes, based on recent prices for tomatoes, has a value of 881,660 Trinidad and Tobago dollars. Now, apart from the dollar value of that crop, there's a huge value in that 8 tons of tomatoes is a huge amount of tomatoes, as you can imagine. And we all know that we are struggling here in this country with food prices due to the lack of food production, which is due to a lack of a host of problems, one of which is insufficient irrigation available to farmers. So if we take that 13 million US gallons per day and we multiply it by 365 days of the year, we end up with 4,982,250,000 US gallons, which is used per year just for flushing toilets in this country. That equates to 8,395 Olympic-sized swimming pools. And we also discovered that Navet Dam has a capacity of 4,807,931,346 US gallons of water. So basically, on a yearly basis, 1.3 million people in this country flush the equivalent of Navet Dam, which is one of our 3 major reservoirs, and it goes down the drain. If we go to a smaller scale and look at the home and see how water is distributed, it's estimated at a typical residential family home that 35% of the water is used in showers and 30% is used in flushing toilets. So we can take that 35%, recycle it and reuse it for flushing toilets, and we have a 5% excess that can go down the drain or be put to another use. If we add in laundry water, we get an additional 20%, and that water can then be put into any other non-potable use, such as flushing toilets, landscape irrigation, makeup water for air-conditioned units, for water features, whatever it may be. Sources of reclaimed water, as you see there, is obviously a shower in your bath, your laundry, rainwater if you're collecting it, as well as air-conditioned condensate. Now, air-conditioned condensate, even if you have a fully air-conditioned home, which is not common in Trinidad, is not that considerable. But if we look at a commercial building, such as this building, where the air conditioner is on, if not 24 hours, quite a bit, you'll find that there's a huge amount of water that, again, comes out of the air conditioner, goes down the drain, and again, it's just wasted. So, in theory, you can collect 35, 55, as a minimum, 55% of your building's water use added on to air-conditioned condensate and whatever sources you may have. So we'd look now at our residential grey water recycling system. This is the BRAC RGW250. That is what the system looks like. That is the system. When you purchase it, that is what you get. There's no other bits and pieces that have to be connected to it. You simply plumb it into your building. Within that unit is a holding tank, a pump, the controller, filter, chlorinator. And the residential system ranges in size from the RGW 150, 250, 350, 450, right up to 500. How does the system work? Well, the grey water from your shower, bath, or wherever you choose to collect it from, passes through a 100 micron reusable filter, and that removes any foreign particles and impurities within the water. If you are going to be collecting laundry wastewater, it is advised that you put on a pre-filter, just because laundry contains a lot of lint and has a bit more solids in it. The maintenance of the filter, pretty easy. Basically, it will be required to be cleaned every 4 to 6 weeks. Cleaning is as simple as taking it out, going out to your back garden, taking the garden hose, washing it off, putting it back in. The filter itself will need to be changed approximately every 12 to 18 months, depending on how heavily the system is used, how much water you're putting into it, and what type of water you're putting into it. And replacement filters are under $100 TT, so it's not a very expensive commodity to replace. The system does chlorinate the water to ensure that the water is kept within an acceptable range at all times. It is chlorinated using a very similar chlorine as what would be used in a swimming pool in terms of the chlorine tablet. But it is the type of chlorine used as a calcium hypochlorite hydrated tablet. It's a bit different to the swimming pool, in that the swimming pool chlorination tablet has a huge amount of water flowing over it daily, and it will dissolve very quickly. Whereas the unstabilized chlorine tablet is a bit more low-emitting chlorine, and this is why the tablet will last you 4 to 6 weeks. So when you clean out your filter, you usually replace the tablet at the same time. How does the system work? Well, there is a pressure switch or pressure gauge within the system, and when a toilet is flushed or an irrigation system turns on, it will sense that drop of pressure in the dedicated line, and that will turn on the pump and pump the water to where you need it to go, whether it is to your toilet, your urinal, or your landscape sprinklers. What happens if we require more grey water than we produce? It may be a Friday night and you have some people over for dinner. Hopefully these people aren't coming over to your home to shower. They're just coming to enjoy your company. But they will be going to the washroom and they will be flushing the toilet. And because the water required to flush the toilet in essence is coming from the shower laundry, which is probably not running, you may run out of water. Well, there is makeup water which is provided through an air gap, and that will come from your potable system, and that happens seamlessly. So when the grey water in the tank runs out, the potable water supply will turn on and nobody knows. So never ever will you go to flush a toilet and there is no water. Likewise, what happens if we produce more than we require? Well, the excess water will be routed to your sanitary sewer system, and again it happens seamlessly and automatically, goes down the drain, and the rest is history. Likewise, if the filter becomes clogged, for some reason you may have skipped the date that you've marked out on your calendar to remind you to check your filter, and the filter may become clogged. Well, again, no problem. There is a bypass system that is routed and plumbed to your sanitary sewer system, and again, that water will carry on down the drain without causing any major problems within your home. This schematic is a very simple schematic that just shows how the water collection will work. It shows the water being collected from showers and baths. It does not show bathroom sinks. It can collect water from bathroom sinks, but it's felt that the amount of water produced in a bathroom sink is minimal, and you tend to get maintenance people or whoever it might be quicker throwing strange things down a bathroom sink, or a sink in general rather than a shower or a toilet. But if you can guarantee that nothing harmful will go down the sink, then you're free to collect the water from the sink as well. This schematic now shows the return end of how, after the water has been filtered, and how it is then pumped back to your toilets or to your irrigation system. I keep referring to toilets and irrigation systems just because typically that is what you will use it for. You're not limited just to toilet and irrigation systems. It's basically any non-potable use. This is what our BRAC commercial grey water recycling system looks like. The system of filtration and recycling is pretty much exactly the same as the residential system. This just has a bit more robust filtration system and a bit more robust chlorination system because, as you can imagine, you're dealing with a larger volume of water. The commercial grey water series is our commercial system designed for large residential buildings, hotels, detention complexes, shelter homes, or other facilities that house up to 500 people with a single system. If you have more than 500 people, it just may be required to put in 2 systems rather than 1. The system comes with an in-ground holding tank, primary and secondary filters, primary and secondary filter alarms in the event that something goes wrong, a managed chlorination system with a dedicated pump, a variable frequency, constant pressure grey water pumping system, and water counters for both fresh and grey water so that you can keep account of how much water your system is processing and how much water you're actually recycling. The in-ground holding tank is an interesting one because BRAC has confirmed that we don't have to use their tank. They understand that shipping a tank is basically just shipping air and can be quite costly. So we've looked at locally available tanks on the market here, and they're happy to use them. As well as if it is a building where you are constructing a in-ground tank or an underground cistern, that can work as well. This image just shows how a multi-building campus, how the system can be installed on a multi-building campus. In this case, we have 250 people per building, 25 showers per building, 25 toilets per building, and 25 loads of laundry per day. It will handle a flush volume of 9,000 litres per day per building and produce flow volumes of 25,000 litres per day at 250 litres per minute per building. This image is quite a confusing one purely because the colors are all pretty much the same. But again, it just shows how the collection of the water can be plumbed into the system and how the return back to your toilets works as well as the potable water makeup line in the event that you require more water for whatever reason. This is what the system looks like once it has been installed. It can be installed, the commercial system can be installed outside. It's fully weatherproof. In this case, it's just in the lawn garden setting, and if it was that you wanted to hide it, it can be easily landscaped around. But it can also be installed inside if you require it to be installed inside. The BRAC rainwater harvesting system, again, looks and operates pretty much the same as the commercial grey water system. The differences between the two is that one can handle a huge volume of water in a short space of time. As you can imagine, if you have a building like this and it rains, you get a huge volume of water coming off of your roof at one time. As well as it has a more robust filtration system because you're now dealing with leaves and other stuff that may come off of the roof. This kind of just shows how the system, again, can be plumbed into a building. In this case, they've put the controller and the filtration system in a basement space, whereas the tank is outside. So it's very flexible where you put the different accessories of the system. As I mentioned, it comes with a robust filtration system, rainwater controller, which manages precise chlorination that ensures safe water at all time. And like the other two systems, the water collected can be used for irrigation or indoor uses, makeup or toilet flushing, and it comes in sizes of 3,400 to 6,600 liters. The BRAC Black Water Treatment System. This is BRAC's newest addition to their family of systems. And to be honest, at the moment, we don't quite have much information on it as yet. They have begun developing it for testing purposes right now. So they are looking for testing sites anywhere in the world, Trinidad, Canada, wherever. But basically, the black water treatment system is a fully biological black water treatment system for the treatment of domestic wastewater based on the proven sequencing batch reactor process, which has been successfully employed in large-scale wastewater treatment plants throughout. The SBRs are industrial processing tanks for the treatment of wastewater, and SBR reactors treat wastewater such as sewage output from an anaerobic digester or mechanical biological treatment facility in batches. Oxygen is bubbled through the wastewater to reduce biochemical oxygen demand and chemical oxygen demand to make suitable for discharge into sewers or for use on land. The black water treatment system requires a two-chamber septic system, so it works with the existing septic system if it is a two-chamber septic system. If it is not a two-chamber septic system, it just requires the installation of additional septic tank, whether it is pre-made, pre-manufactured, or built on site. As I mentioned, it's installed into the septic tank, and the system will collect any and all site water, black water, grey water, and kitchen wastewater. The water coming out of the system is classed as grey water, which can be used on site for non-potable use, such as flushing toilets or landscape irrigation. Though it is grey water, it can be put back into groundwater or go down the drain without harm, but unfortunately it's not clean enough to be reused for potable use. BRAC also recommends that solids will need to be removed from the system septic tank every 1 to 5 years, which is quite a wide disparity in time, but we'll take their word for it. At this time, the maximum occupancy for the system is 12 people. It's still quite small, it'll accommodate up to 12 people. It can, for very short periods, accommodate more than 12 people, so if it is that you have a family of 12 for whatever reason, or it's a family home and you've gone on somewhere on vacation, it will handle 12 for the long term. If you have people over the weekend and it's 15 people, it's not a problem. Features of the black water treatment system. Basically, it's capable of treating up to 793 US gallons of wastewater per day. It comes with a touch screen controller, internet capable monitoring, so you can monitor it and make sure everything is running as planned from off-site. That also helps BRAC fix any problems within the controller if there is a problem. You know, they don't need to fly down from Canada, or I don't need to show up on your site. We just do it online. Comes with a 1/4 half power transfer pump, a 1/4 horsepower sludge pump, and a 1/3 horsepower aerator. Some of the reasons, features, and benefits of why we think BRAC is right for use here in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, as a start, it'll help reduce water consumption by 30% or more, and wastewater output by the same. It is reliable, efficient technology, and has been proven with installations in over 30 countries throughout the world. And it's scalable from single-family homes to resorts and hotels. It will help reduce energy needs and capital expenses to clean and transport portable and non-portable potable water. So we'll speak now a bit about Enya Works, who's the manufacturer of the solar thermal water heating systems. EnyaWorks is also based in Canada, and like BRAC, we chose to represent them here in Trinidad because of how cutting edge their technology is, how simple it is to install their systems, and the ease of maintaining their systems. They also come with quite a number of safety features and features that will ensure the efficiency of the system, that overcome or prevent problems that we have found are common problems in other solar systems that are available both locally and regionally. What is solar thermal? Well, as we probably all know, it is a process of turning the sun's radiation into heat using a conductive surface, in this case a solar panel or solar collector. It is not to be confused with a photovoltaic system. In the case of a photovoltaic system, you are taking the sun's radiation and converting it into electricity. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. However, the efficiency of a photovoltaic system is a lot lower than the efficiency of a solar thermal water heating system. And the photovoltaic system generates DC power. So you need an inverter to convert it to AC power. There's also a higher cost per square meter for a photovoltaic collector rather than a solar collector. And they have short product lives of 4 to 5 years. They require batteries. Batteries don't last very long either. Now, I'm not here to deter you from going with a photovoltaic system. If it is that you want to produce power for lights and radios and whatever it may be, that is by far the way to go. So how does the system work? Well, it converts radiation into heat. The panels are roughly 70 to 80% efficient, and it will heat 70 to 80% of your hot water required hot water. It requires a heat transfer method, and we'll discuss that a bit further on as well. Robust collectors that are typically 4 foot by 8 feet. It's a much lower cost per square meter than a photovoltaic system and has a product life of 25 to 30 years. So why install a solar system? Well, there's a high cost of energy which continues to increase. We haven't felt that here in Trinidad as yet, but throughout the rest of the world, energy prices are quite high. And I think the unfortunate truth is that we will see an increase in our energy prices soon. It'll help you reduce your energy bill. It'll help you reduce your reliance on energy derived from fossil fuels, which in turn help you as a person reduce your CO2 emissions. And it ensures a reliable, safe supply of hot water. And it demonstrates your commitment to sustainability. Whether you're a leader in the industry or you're just an average Joe like myself, we all need to start demonstrating our commitment to sustainability and helping out the world. The EnyaWorks collectors are the most advanced collectors on the market. They come with patented heat-safe protection. They work based on a 3-inch copper piping and serpentine configuration. One of the pluses is that when you buy the system, it comes with a flexible copper line set that you will be required to connect your solar collector to your storage tank. What that does is it ensures that you don't have to cut pipe, you don't have to weld pipe, you don't have to weld elbows, you don't have to go down to the hardware to get more piping. One of the pluses of the system as well, more from an aesthetic point, is that it is not required for the tank to be installed on the roof. So when you install the system, the panel just looks like a skylight on your roof. The storage tank can be installed anywhere, up, down, left, right, once it's within 75 feet of the collector. The collectors themselves are made from tempered, glazed, low-iron glass, which improves durability and efficiency. It can withstand up to hurricane-force winds. So flying missiles and rocks and whatever else is not an issue during a storm. And it uses push fittings for easy installation. The EnyaWorks product line is scalable from single-family dwellings, residential, to large commercial resorts and hotels. Residential application for heating hot water only will require, depending on the size of the family, an array of 1 to 4 collectors. Commercial property will require 4 to 100 plus collectors, depending on the size of the building and the building's requirements for hot water. So how does the system work? Well, one of the benefits of the system is that we're not taking the potable water or the water that you're using to heat to go through our solar collector. The reason why is that all water contains minerals within it. And when that mineral gets heated, it drops the minerals, in most cases calcium, such as what happens in your kettle. That white residue is calcium that has fallen out of the water during the boiling process. If that calcium is deposited within your collector, you will slowly lose efficiency of the collector, and eventually the collector won't work. It can be prevented through rigorous maintenance involving every so often draining your collector, running vinegar or some sort of acid that will remove the calcium deposits, flushing that chemical or that acid out, recharging the system. That will probably take the better part of a day, and if you don't do it yourself, you're going to have to pay someone to do it. So our system, when it's installed, is charged with what we call a heat transfer fluid, which in layman's terms is demineralized water. The system is charged and pressurized, and it does require the use of a very low wattage 20 watt low flow pump. It's actually similar to the pump or same type of pump that is used in a dialysis machine. And that will pump your heat transfer fluid through the pump, up the collector, it'll get hot, come back down and pass through the heat exchanger, which we'll talk about shortly as well. There is a sensor in the system that will turn on and off that low flow 20 watt pump. So in the event that you have a cloudy day or at night where there is no energy being absorbed on the collector, that pump will switch off. When the sun comes up in the morning and it's a beautiful bright sunny day, the pump will turn on as required. Now, as that hot heat transfer fluid passes through the heat exchanger, on the other side of the heat exchanger is where you have your potable water, which is stored in the tank. And luckily, through the laws of physics, what happens is something called a thermosiphon loop, which does not require any pumps. It works on convection. In that, hot water will naturally rise to the top of the tank. And as hot water enters the top of the tank, it will push down, and the cold water then is pushed out. And that loop happens all day, every day. This is what the heat exchanger looks like. It's a brazed plate heat exchanger. And basically what happens is you have the heat transfer fluid coming through on one side and passing through and heating the cold potable water on the other side, and soon it leaves that heat exchanger hot. So as it says, it's a heat exchanger. It exchanges heat from one source to the other source. And that heat exchanger can be found in what we call the energy pack. The energy pack is one of the most important components, maybe the second most important component of the system, the first component being the solar collector. In that energy pack, which is not much bigger than this, we find temperature controller, thermosiphon outlet, pressure gauge, heat exchanger, the low flow pump that I'm talking about, expansion tank, which is a safety feature to deal with that pressure as water is heated. And this just bolts onto the storage tank. Now, the system can work with your existing American standard electric water heater. And the reason why it uses the American standard hot water heater is that solar water heaters cannot heat 100% of your water, because there may be days when it's cloudy, and there may be days where there's not enough energy to heat the water. But you, as a customer or an installer of this, you don't want to know about that. You just want to make sure when you turn on your water, you get hot water. So what the American standard water heater does is it has a thermostat in it. And when it recognizes that drop of temperature coming from the solar collector, it will then turn on its own elements and heat that water. So again, there's a seamless transition between solar to no solar to ensuring that you have hot water. Some problems associated with conventional solar heaters that we have found manufactured regionally and available locally. Well, one is stagnation, which occurs when there's a minimal water draw through the collectors and the temperature of the collector exceeds safe operating temperatures. It produces scaling temperatures, which can be harmful, and it produces excessive pressure, causing damage to system components, leaks, and system malfunction. So let's say you've gone away for a couple of weeks, nobody's home, nobody's using hot water. This heat transfer fluid is stuck in that solar collector, and it is not displacing heat through potable water because there is no draw on the potable water. And the temperature within that solar collector will continue building. And what happens quite often in other systems is that they will eventually explode, or a pipe will burst, or something will happen and the system will fail. Usually it happens when you come home off of an 8-hour flight and it's 3 in the morning and you get home and there's hot water pouring all over your house. Well, our system comes with a patented overheat protection, which basically is a vent at the top of the collector, and when the temperature within the collector gets to 120 degrees Celsius, that vent will automatically open and vent the excess hot air out until it comes back down to acceptable temperature. So you're maintaining an acceptable temperature within it, ensuring that it will never overheat. So some of the features, well, we've gone through some of the safety features already, but just to recap, overheat protection in the collector, anti-scaling and a back flush system which cleans every time you turn on your hot water. So you're ensuring the efficiency you're ensuring the efficiency of your solar collectors and your heat exchanger at all times. And stratified storage tank and thermal siphon system ensures that you will always have hot water. But apart from that, it will help again lower your CO2 emission, because obviously you're using less electricity or no electricity or very little electricity to heat your water. It will reduce your contribution to climate change. It will shrink your energy bills by heating 70 to 80% of your hot water using the sun's energy. It has patented safety features for overheating and anti-fouling, and it is designed and installed as a complete system. It is also scalable from single family to large commercial applications, and comes with numerous and various certifications. So EnerWorks Solar Thermal Technology, just to recap, it's designed and developed at Queen's University with ongoing in-house research and development. Something I forgot to mention about BRAC and likewise EnerWorks is they have their own in-house research and development where they're constantly testing and modifying and improving their systems. And they're able to do that because they are heavily funded by the Government of Canada for research and development only. They're the first Canadian Standard Association approved system in Canada, and their patented safety features and benefits. The collectors come with a 10-year limited warranty. And that brings us to the end of our presentation, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we have about 20 minutes for the questions. Encourage everybody to ask at least one or two. Please.
In terms of your solar collector operating system, I assume it's more costly than your standard storage water heater partners. What's the type of payback period?
We have done payback periods, and again, we'll be very honest with you up front. We have nothing to hide. Yes, it does cost more than an electric water heater, and the payback period is considerably long. We worked it out. I don't think Amanda, we didn't do it on a residential application. We did it on a commercial application, and it was like 11 years. We did projections of an increase in electrical rates of 25%, 50%, 25%, 100%, and it did come down to 5 years. So we do understand and know that it is going to be an extremely hard sale in Trinidad in the current situation. So the market that we're trying for in Trinidad are people who regard themselves as leaders, and people who have an interest in installing such a system.
What's the life cycle on the system again?
25 to 30 years. When I went to EnerWorks lab in Queen's University last year, this month is a year, they have a system on their roof that has been there for 30 years, and it's, other than some faded paint, it looks pretty much the same.
Just like that also that there is a changes in the Ministry of Energy now coming out with members maybe with a good rebate.
There is
consumers to convert to hot water.
Yes, there is.
It's becoming very soon.
It is currently a rebate, and I understand that in the next budget we may see even more incentives, tax or rebate incentives.
Just have one question for the others to ask.
Sorry.
What is the advantage of having what you call the dual system, as you say, that where you have an heat exchanger and two fluids versus the normal systems where you use?
Well, the advantage of the heat exchanger is because we're using the heat transfer fluid rather than the potable water going through the collector. And the reason being that the water contains minerals, and when it gets hot.
This is for durability of the collectors, avoid corrosion.
Yes, it ensures that your collector will last for 30 plus years, as opposed to ones that last 7 to 10 years and then you have to replace it.
Yeah. Nice presentation.
Thank you.
I have a question concerning the use of American Standard Water Systems in conjunction with the system that you're
Sure.
talking about. Now, usually, that system, where you have a big tank that is always, there's a thermostat is always, it's not very efficient because it's heating water all the time even when you don't need it. So I want to know if that system can work with an on-demand tankless water heater. And are there any drawbacks to using that kind of, or did you envisage that at all?
It's an interesting question. And if I don't answer it sufficiently now, we'll figure it out. There are reasons and there are arguments rather of is a tankless electric water heater more efficient than a electric water heater that holds water. It's felt that a tankless water heater uses a huge amount of electricity in a short space of time to punch out water and get it hot. Whereas the tankless water heaters, the modern, recently manufactured ones, not the ones from the 80s and the 90s, are a lot more efficient in keeping the water warm. And they have a thermostat in it. And yes, it is constantly heating water, but it is not constantly heating water. The water is heated to a point, and the water will slowly cool down, and then it is heated again. Now, that is if nobody is using water. If someone uses water, yes, and cold water comes into the tank, and boom, it has to turn on, because all of a sudden cold water has come in and reduced the temperature, and it has to play a little bit of catch up. In this case, the input line to the tank is coming from your solar water heater. So it's coming in hot, and its tank with its insulation keeps that water hot. When you draw off water from that tank, that thermosiphon loop that is repeated through the solar collector works very quickly, and the water coming from the bottom of your hot water tank, which is cold, goes through the collector, gets hot, and comes back in the top hot. So it relies a lot less on actually using electricity. The electricity really comes in the event that, again, for some reason it's cloudy, or you're having a lot of people over and it's Christmas Day and you're cooking and you're cleaning and a lot of hot water is being used and the collector can't provide you with that water. I think that lady in the back there had her hand up a little while ago.
Well, I just wanted to know how does this system compare to the system used in Barbados? Because I'm not sure, but this system doesn't seem to have a backup system. I don't know, please explain.
Okay, the systems in Barbados are extremely good in what they do. The issues with the systems in Barbados is, one, they don't last as long because you get a lot of loss of efficiency in the collector over time. I've spoken to a number of people in Barbados who have them on their homes, and it's quite common that you replace a collector 5 years, 7 years after you install it, and you're lucky if it lasts 7, 12 years. And one of the reasons for that is the issue of mineral deposit within the collector due to minerals falling out from hot water when it gets hot. So in terms of producing hot water, the systems work the same. Our system just has things in place to ensure that problems found on other systems don't occur. Now, there is a price difference. Again, I'm not going to hide that from anybody because I'm sure somebody's going to ask the question just now. There is a price difference, and it is considerable. Now, in terms of the backup system, that goes along with his question of what happens, if I got the question right, is what happens if there's a rainy day and you don't have sun producing hot water?
Yes.
Right, well, it works in conjunction with an electric water heater tank that has a thermostat. So if there is not enough energy to produce hot water, that thermostat in the electric tank will turn on and heat that water until the solar collector can start back heating water. And that's your backup system.
I have a comment rather than a question. I know that people in Trinidad don't necessarily pay for how much the water actually costs to be produced and all of that. And I think that your...
They are commercial clients who are using this whole sustainability train as marketing and saying, well, we're green. And they're interested in systems like this because they can then advertise and say, well, we are recycling grey water, we are recycling paper, we're recycling whatever. We visited Hilton Hotel quite recently to talk about our systems as well. And Hilton International, not just Hilton Trinidad, is on a worldwide drive to green themselves. And it was quite interesting to see their system and have a whole computerized system, and you could type in Hilton in Nairobi and see exactly how much electricity they're using at that time and what weight of garbage they've thrown out at that day. And they're saying that they have taken that whole the early bird catches the worm and are now advertising themselves or soon to be advertising themselves as the greenest hotel or chain of hotels in the world. Now, they can't just say, hi, we're green because we painted our wall green. You have to be able to back it up. You know, every successful entity has someone who's going to try to break that entity down tooth and nail. So they need to prove their statement of being the greenest hotel in the world, and they're hoping that that will then attract guests to their hotel. And they, as I said, no doubt, once they start, all the other hotels will follow. So it's going to be a process, but.
Yeah, I just want more information about the problems you saw with WASA and installing the water system, because I'm working on a committee. We're looking at the Tamina campus to see how we can implement some of these systems. One of the issues that came up was resistance of WASA. I'm just wondering what you see happening.
We have met with WASA several times. We've presented to WASA several times. We've met with all the different people that we need to meet with. Verbally, WASA has given us their blessing. They did say that it has to go to their law department before they can give us the actual physical written approval. And that is, of course, going to take some time, but it's in the process. Amanda is constantly in contact with WASA, and they've, you know, to be honest, we went to WASA and we said, hey, what? We can't expect WASA to say, you have to buy BRAC. We want WASA to promote and acknowledge and accept the use of and the idea of grey water recycling and wastewater recycling technology. Our job is to prove to you that BRAC is the best that there is on the market.
Really, I want to find out what is their concern. Is it that they're saying that the water is there, or they're saying it's a safety issue? What is the problem?
To be honest, they didn't really express any concern. They all looked at it and nodded their heads and smiled and said, yes, it's very good. And, you know, again, it's now just in their law department to ensure that it goes through their legal processes so that when we say WASA approved and someone goes and say, hey, all they approved these people, what's the story? But WASA can then say, yes, they came and met us, and these are the guidelines, and these are the restrictions, and these are whatever.
I'm a bit of a stranger here because I'm with academics and I'm not one of you. I'm involved with the Acer Nature Center, and we have been sustainable before it was a word being bandied around. But if you all are in the either practicing or learning environmental engineering and the equivalents and so on, Acer Nature Center is a place you ought to look at. We have been talking with Green3, with Alan and Amanda, for a while now, really the problems are price. Aserite is a not-for-profit place that earns its money by bringing guests to go bird watching and things like this. But we harvest all of our water up there in the Spring Hill Estate is what it's called, and that water belongs to WASA. We have to pay them for the right to harvest it. I'm not sure even how that works. I think it's a blanket fee because we don't measure what we take out. We are now measuring what we are using in order to get internationally certified with one of these to show that we can reduce our water. But we are looking at the solar systems with them. We are looking at grey water treatment in particular. All the water we take out of the mountain, we put back into the mountain and it comes down the river. Not water, this from septic tanks or release systems. And we check the water downstream and upstream. And surprisingly, the water downstream tests a little more pure than the water upstream in the Rima River. But we don't pull from the Rima River instead, we pull from springs on the estate. And we always have had water, except last year, we nearly ran out when we had that very bad drought. We're actually exploring where we could go and tap water from out of the Rima River itself. So I just wanted to let you all know that thank you for asking me to come. It's good to be here. That there is a place nearby which offers opportunities of all kinds to develop research items, including the reinstatement of a Trinidad's only ever hydro-powered generator, which is going to be outfitted in future sometime.
I think we're going to organize a trip by the people in the environmental status program to come and visit you.
They have a very good lunch. Go for the lunch if nothing else.
I'd just like to ask the question about how many projects you supply
in Trinidad, we got the moment.
Just give me an idea how many in each one, because he mentioned Tamana and I keep pushing to have Tamana as the first green campus in the Caribbean by adding some of these ideas. So,
at the moment, we have not had an installation, but we are currently in negotiations with about 5 or 6 different entities, proposal-wise, ranging from the Eco-Industrial Park in Tobago to homes down the islands, Aserite.
So it's still negotiated.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll be the first one to help you by building something.
Well, we like to negotiate, so.
And that would be a great marketing opportunity for you as well, to see something installed.
Absolutely.
And Aserite has a great brand.
Yeah.
It'd be great for you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I remember you, don't worry, we'll talk. and y'all are not paying me, so you know that. So I was in Malaysia last October last, and I met with a company called Dan Aqua, and they're into making or reusing grey water and stuff like that. They call it new water, right? And I don't think they're just looking at doing it per household, but they're doing it for entire communities. And it's a huge investment, and they were thinking about coming here and doing that here. Because they spoke to me and they said we were looking at places in this part of the world to set up things like that.
Right. Well, the commercial system can work in communities, right? You have one system per 500 people. And there's a developer in Tobago who we've now begun speaking to as well, where the thinking is that they can do just that. You know, the development is, I think, 70-something lots. If you multiply that by 5, you won't need that many commercial systems. Where it gets tricky, and this is again one of the problems that we have here in Trinidad, but we have to change it, we can't use it as an excuse, is if you have it in a community type setting, who's responsible for the maintenance of it? Who pays for that? Whereas if it's in the home, and this is where it gets important, particularly in government housing, when the cost of water does go up, if a homeowner is given a home at a good price or given a home by the government or whatever it is, and they have this unit that is, they still have to pay for their water, regardless of how they got the house, they have to pay for the water. And if they can get a house with this system and they understand that the system is going to save them a couple $100 a month or $1,000 a year, whatever, they will quicker take responsibility for it than if all of us and I have to share one system in the middle of the neighborhood and I say, well, I did it last week, it's not my turn. You have to go now, and then you go away, and so.
Those are some of the issues that we have to do.
Okay, the guy there will have another one or two questions.
Great presentation, Alan.
Thank you.
Actually, I have a few questions if you feel good.
Yep.
The first thing I wanted to note is that, as the guy had mentioned before, WASA actually states it to us on numerous projects that all water in Trinidad belongs to WASA. So I was hoping the guy from Israel could help me. What is the blanket fee they charge for collecting rainwater?
Well,
I went over this has been in 50 years, and I honestly don't know that, but I'll find out.
the rainwater, yes, you technically have to pay for it. Now, if you think of homes down the islands and homes in the country and up in Parliament, I don't think any of them pay for that rainwater. Now, we had the question of, can WASA charge you for the grey water? Well, you've paid for the water.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you've paid for it. It hasn't left your site. So my thinking is that they can't.
So you pay for it once.
You pay for it once and you reuse it again. So I buy this piece of paper. I paid for it. We print it on it nicely. I flip it over. I ain't paying for it again.
Just giving it to the government, they like you to give them, most likely you have debt water fees.
I think that's what I came about, where you said it's an illegal department.
Legal, there is some legal.
I should check a little bit deep. You said that WASA said that they own even rainwater.
They own every drop of water once it hits ground in Trinidad and Tobago.
One of the legal things.
I thought it was supposed to be from the municipality.
It's an old legal law.
They've been saying that.
But you need to be challenged in the court, which will take about 20 years.
Yeah, exactly.
But any other, I just allow me one or two questions if you want to do. Another one or two?
Yeah, sorry.
With regard to your grey water systems, do you offer a warranty? Is it a manufacturer warranty, or do you, as Green Tree Systems, offer a warranty on it?
It's a manufacturer warranty, which we uphold. Obviously, we will be responsible for the ongoing service here in Trinidad. If something goes wrong, you call me. You don't have to bring someone from Canada. And on the grey water, on the residential systems, it's 5 years. I'm not certain what it is on the commercial, but we can find that out. But again, it's very little moving parts within it other than the pump. And BRAC also manufactures their own pumps. So in the God-forsaken event that something goes wrong with the pump and you have to replace it or replace a part, it comes directly from BRAC. You don't have to suddenly go on the internet and start Googling where to get these parts from. BRAC manufactures and installs all of the components. Down to the program that is in the controller is developed and is done and everything by BRAC.
Will the installation have to be by a certified plumber?
Yes, we will to uphold the warranty, it has to be by a certified, licensed, trained plumber that we have trained and certified. Having said that, I mean, we're pretty flexible. I'm probably the most flexible person in the world. If it is that you come with your plumber and you can prove to me that he is responsible and he is licensed and we may consider saying, yeah, sure, no problem. We'll certify him. When I went to their factory last year, I remember we spent the whole day walking around the factory and looking at all these fancy parts and the whole process of how they put it together. And I kept wondering to myself, well, when are we going to do the installation? Like, it's 11 o'clock in the morning, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and eventually they say, all right, it's 2 o'clock, let's break for half hour, come back, we'll do the installation. I'm like, okay, we're going to be here until 10 o'clock tonight. And the installation really was, it took 10, 15 minutes. Because it literally, now having said that, that is one of the benefits if you're installing it in a new building that is plumbed for the system. If it is an existing building, you have to do a retrofit and then it becomes more complicated. But it's simple plumbing. It's 3 pipes that you connect, or 4 pipes, and that's it.
The last question. You mentioned a possible 11-year payback period for the solar systems. With regard to the grey water systems, if you run any figures in a commercial application?
We can, we did an entire hypothetical study on it. We did a commercial building where they installed only solar. We did a commercial building where they only installed grey water, and we did a commercial building where they installed both. To be honest, I cannot remember the specifics, but the longest payback period based on current water and electricity rates was 15 years, and the shortest was like 9 or 10 or 11 based on current rates. When the rates went up based on 25% projection, 50% projection, it came right down to almost 5 years or less.
Okay, as always, good things come to an end. So I'd like to stop here.
No problem.
And on behalf of the President and the Acting Provost, I would like to express my thanks, gratitude to Alan, and I promise to invite him again to show us maybe some of the new installations, hopefully within 3 to 4 months. And I will try very hard to push for having one of these systems in Tamana in a way to show that we are also conscious about the environment and the greening of our campuses. So on behalf of UTT, I'd like to thank Alan, and please join me in expressing our thanks.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. Please feel free to look at our website as well, and give us a call or an email with any question. We love questions.